everybody. How's everybody doing? This Thursday evening, Thursday night, whatever you all call it. Welcome into the live, guys. It is Thursday night, and we are going to chat. We are going to be talking. Lord have His mercy upon my soul. We have got to talk, people. There's absolutely so much for us to talk about. There's so much that's going on. Wish I had my other device. If I had my other device. But I don't. So if I had my other device, I could look on it and see some of the topics that I really wanted to visit tonight. But I did not. I'm just leaving work. And I usually have just one device with me at work. So therefore, AG, AG, bless up your nice clean self. AG, what's up? AG said, me thirsty. Thirsty or thirsty, which one? Thirsty or thirsty, AG? No, my love. Albert, come on, tell me more. Oh, you just ask. You ask for ask sake. I ask because you want to do something about it. Which one? Let me know. Anyone? Lord have mercy, AG. Your chest high, you know, brother. You really want to get in that? You really fearless in that, AG. You're not afraid of getting in trouble, you know. You're not afraid of getting in trouble. You ever hear them someone plant one that you shoot? Yeah, G. G said, want to do something about it. Lord, if I laugh, I cry. G said, want to do something about it. I want to do something about it, Father God. Hey, G, what's up? What a go on? What a go on in your world today? In my world, this. Oh, that's good. That's good trouble. You want to get in a good trouble. Save yourself. Save yourself. I mean, when you get in this trouble, your brother. I'm saying, give me a bit this, I'll pick my pick up trouble and put me up. OMG. I will not never able to get to come pick up some pizza. And then yeah. My rooster put. Watch out. Sweet trouble. Sweet home Alabama. Oh my God, guys, what everybody doing? Welcome into the live. Welcome into the Thursday live, yeah? We don't put out a thumbnail because that is the first one I see. I may never know someone's going to be out of work just 2 hours late. I'm still going to be out of work a bit later than that. But I'm out. AG, AG, you're a whole mess. AG is a thing that is in good trouble. Lord have mercy. Well, that may I try to tell you. There's some trouble I work getting into. But not every trouble is worth getting into. Welcome into the live, gentle people. Come on into the live and let us talk. There's so much going on in the world. We have to talk about them. Andrea is in the house. Sister Andrea, what's up? How you doing? Good to see you, Sister Andrea. Good to see you. But they are forward home from work, you know. But y'all know how the drill is. Soon as I work out of work, me as well, me just put on the live. Because I can't wait for no specific time to do the live. If you get what I mean. Can't wait for a specific time, yeah, man. Because you have to wait for a specific time and live happens. And when specific time comes, it now wait for you. So, soon as I come out of work, turn on the live. I can go and chat. If I go stop before I reach home, we stop together. If I go home and continue talking, we go home and we continue talking together. Ah! And by the time if I wait until I reach home, 9:30, 10 o'clock, sometimes we not even get enough time on the live, yeah, man. So tonight we are going to talk about random topics, all kinds of things that's happening in the world. All kinds of things. Andrea, did you hear them say that there is a trend that's going around where people are talking about where they want to be taken on a first? My darling sister Eman, how are you doing, my sweetheart? How are you doing, my lovely love? Good to see you, my darling. Talk to me. Want to talk to me? Jojo is in the place. What do you say? My lady coming home to me, hungry belly picnic. I just love you, Joe. Yeah, me left for kind of late, man. And yeah, I'm nearly left too late time. I'm just decided to, you know something. I got my gun here, man, car. Work here and done. Work here and done. Yeah, so tonight now we have to talk about all kind of random things. But one thing that was brought to my attention is that there's a new trend going around and people are talking about where women are talking about where they would like to go on a first date. Now people talk to me. I'm not sure why this is a trending topic at this time. I don't know if it's because somebody shared a bad experience, or something. I don't know what kind of trend this is, but where people want to go for a first date. But let us talk. As grown folks, let us talk. Where is a good place to go? We don't do the good things first before we talk about the bad things. Yes. Some people say them talk about the bad things first, but Antwerp is going to reverse it. We're going to talk about the good things first. What are some good places to go on a first date? And what me to go first? A good place to go on a first date is to the bank. To the bank. Take me to the bank. Let me see how much money you have. So anybody who wanna go with me on the first place I wanna go is to the bank. I wanna go see how much money you have over there. Andrea said picnic in the park. No, Andrea, that's too intimate already. No, so that's too intimate. Me not like that. Because when you go a picnic in the park, who don't know each other already, me no, sir. Me not like that. Me not like that. You know, picnicking at the park sound intimate. But me not know you like that yet. Me not intimate with no intimate with them. Me not gonna picnic in the park. The first place we going is to the bank. Show me say you can afford a second date because based on the revelations of the first date is going to determine whether or not I'm gonna go out with you on the second time. Me not, me, no. Andrea said we need to meet somewhere. Yes, Andrea, we need to meet at the bank. We need to meet right down the chase. That's where we need to meet. And let me see what you're working with. What are we working with? The only two we are working with now, then we can determine where the next date go. Who agree with me? If me also put just a $2.80. If you agree with me, people, let me know. If you don't agree with me. Because me not go on a date with nobody, go a hotel, go a movie, go a uh-uh, uh-uh. Where are the rest of the people in the chat? Where do y'all wanna go on a first date? Where have you all wanna tell me that you all have never been on a first date? Where have you all gone on a first date? Talk to me and tell me where the man take you know on a first date. Everybody just take them first date and go to hotel. Are them something I'm not going with? Don't talk to me because they don't sound right at all. So like on a head chip. It's not like on a head chip people. God and I tell me one of the on the first date. The guys in the chat. When I carry a woman go on a first date, AG, me and you go on a first date. Joe, me and you go on a first date. Albert, me and you going on a first date, Papa Chulo, Papi Chulo. Huh? Huh? Hey Albert, don't that style manco. Yo quiero mucho dinero, mi amor. Let me see what's going on here. Anywhere you go, it is intimate. You both have to know how to behave yourself. So anywhere you go is intimate. No, sir, Joseph, and everywhere you go is intimate. No, sir. Mm-mm. No, sir. We are go. Yard food. Where did you go on your first date? But then carry you go on your first date, yard food. Because all these people are talking about first date where to go and where not to go. What about being taken to like a museum? Yeah, go a museum. Go now go on a long drive because me not want to end up nowhere which part. Me no know secluded place next thing man can rate me. Me no in that. No AG, not a box. No AG. You say you're skin your teeth, you say sweet, you're bad like yours. That is no date AG. That is no date at all. I mean, a real date. Christmas is coming, it's a holiday season. There's going to be a lot of parties and balls and all these nice Nice event. Wow, $2.73 for gas. Who have gas for $2.73 where they live? You understand? The ball, there are gonna be lots of balls and parties and stuff over the holidays. If you meet somebody and you all have to go out on a date, where do you think would be an appropriate place for someone to take you? Listen, Joseph, Joseph, me not going away with you. Me not going away. Joseph is the best place to go. Joseph, Joseph is the best place to go. To tell you, yeah. Joseph is the best place to go. To tell you, yeah. You're right, you know, Joseph. You're right. The best place to go is to tell your yard for true. Tell your yard. Lord have his mercy. No, man, nobody tell you differently. Stay at your yard. Andrea say, I think meeting someone at the park is comfortable and safe for me in the public space. Maybe a museum. Well, that's good. A museum. Going to the park. Where I got the park go do? Well, I got the park go sit down for the old tough bench and talk about. Why we are got the park? Now me as well, we go sit down. We go sit down in our restaurant. Now we as well go sit down in our restaurant, eat some food, and go and chat, get to know each other, see who have table manners and who have under table manners. You understand what I mean? Like, yeah, that would be an appropriate place to go. If there is a park where like there are ducks and stuff, you can go to an aquarium, you can go to a botanical garden, you can go to you can go browse the aisles of Walmart. Yeah, there are interesting places. There are interesting places that you can go on a first date. There are lots of interesting places you can go. If say you meet somebody, the person is say like in the military, you can go to like one of the military museums. You can you can go like to the fair, you know. But one thing that I would want to make sure of is that you are not picking me up. But what I say, if I'm going out on a date with somebody that I don't know, you are not going to pick me up. Yeah? Yes, AG, to a nice restaurant. AG is a movie. I can't watch movie for me. Come and watch movies so me just sleep. Yes, one step at a time, Andrea. Yes, one step, one step at a time. I agree. You can't do everything. You can't do everything one time. You understand? But some of the places them that might be secluded. For example, if you all are gonna go to a fair, sorry, so now we go on a fair and the fair is 50 miles away. Would you want to agree to drive together with that person? Remember, you don't know the person, you know. So the same way, or you wouldn't want to go into a hotel room with this person. I think it's the same way you wouldn't want to go into this person's car. Because you climb into the car and this person is the driver. You are at their mercy, you know. They can drive to anywhere, they can take any route, and you are just sitting there waiting to be driven to somewhere that you did not agree to go. You can go to the mall and walk, go up and down and chat and yes, yes, that's not a bad place to start. That's not a bad place to start. But in the interest of safety, people, in the interest of safety, and particularly safety for our women, because our women, we are most vulnerable. The other day, I don't know if you all saw a video, a young woman, I saw the backstory where they said a young woman, she met this guy, they went home together at their house or something, and she apparently saw something on his phone that did not sit well with her, and so he locked him out of the apartment. And you want to see how the man I try to block down the door, and I tell the woman, and I tell the woman to open up the door, open up the door. And me I say to myself, say, if that woman they did ever open the door, they see heaven help her. Heaven help her if she did ever open up the door there. You understand? Because I think that man was up to no good. And the way my pace restlessly, and I tell her to open the door, open the door, open the door. I said, oh my God. So women in particular have to be very conscious. Have to be very conscious, right down to of what's around it. Because you meet somebody, one of the things I do not understand, let me say this. You meet somebody online. Online, you meet them, you know. And you want them chat, and uno chat. What's that? Josie's a restaurant out of it. What restaurant out of it, Josie? Oh, restaurant out of it, like restaurant food. I told Josie, me and you go sit down and watch birdie, brother. And go feed duck. Me agree. But yeah, yeah, food. Yeah, I mean, yeah, do so, yeah, food, I mean, yeah, do so. Yard food, I mean, yeah, do so, yeah, put it like how me like it. Make you invite the man of me yard to come cook for me. You look like you think to me well want get raped. Lord of his mercy. No yard food, not in the name of the Lord. Me not inviting nobody on me yard. Me not inviting nobody on me yard. You mad? When me cook the food and we got the park, go sit down and eat it. But me not. You crazy? But nobody have me yard. No, when you meet people for the first time, the last thing you want to do is to find yourself in a secluded area with them. Come on, you don't know them people here now. You do not know this person. You do not know what this person is capable of. You don't know him. You just a meet him. You just a know him. After the first date, oftentimes you might not even want a second date. The person could have turned you off. You may not even want a second date. So if you get from the first date, you already can't just somebody in your yard. I met this a person already know the ins and outs of your house and stuff. No, not at all. Not at all. That would not be a safe thing to do. I remember, so we are talking about safety. And that would not be a safe thing to do. Alright? So for the women them, Wanna make sure say safety first, and trust go to hell. Go meet up in the parking lot. Yes, me rooster foot. You sitting up from me. Yes, in the parking lot at the police station. Yeah, me could meet up at the parking lot. Yeah, me could meet up at the parking lot at the police station. Me could sit down right there and chat. Yeah, me could sit down right there and have a conversation at the police parking lot. Right? Jesus. The amazing M&G. What's up, my dear sister? How you doing? Some other things that we are going to talk about. Mr. Jamaica has state of emergency. You see that? Jamaica has state of emergency down in Mobile. Considering that the young men them down there not behaving themselves wisely. Mm-hmm. Let me go for my corners. Oh, yeah, cook. Where you cook, M&G? Where you cook this time of night? Oh, the music too loud. I'm in here. You know, Joseph. Thank you for telling me. I'm in here, realize. Thank you for telling me. I'll start it then. Hold on. Oh, yes. It's too high. It's true. Alright, there it is now, Joseph. The last 30 minutes you did I listen to the loud music and never tell me, Joseph. My lord. Watch it. Hold on. I can't believe me. Come on, put it clear with me. Alright, so I could go and talk now. So I put on some yes. Come on, now just see how the place is. Now to see how the place is. I say, yard food. Mr. say Jamaica have state of emergency. Down in Mobile. From last week, a peer killing. Not just from last week, but down yesterday, in that the particular area there. Yeah, peer murders. Peer murders going on down there. I can't find my phone. Nah, my phone there. What's the practice? Anyway, I could go and talk, maybe find it. Or it will find me. You say that it was the banana. But imagine you cook. Uy, I don't know enough people, but me and sleeping in the dark is not friends. So anyway, I'm gonna go and chat. Because one of the things are going on in the world. Yes. Mr. They have state of emergency. State of emergency down in Montego Bay. I don't think that state of emergency they warranted. What do you think about that state of emergency they were down in Mobile? I don't think it warranted because I think it very warranted, you know. I'm not I just feel say the, the police them the police them really want the country to run good. I mean, I said there are some corrupt cops, you know. There are always going to be some corrupt cops. But I believe that the majority of the police officers want good for the country. They want a peaceful Jamaica. They want a Jamaica which part the worst crime what they face with is like a traffic ticket. But that's not the Jamaica we have. That is just a Jamaica we we're dreaming of. You understand? And the police them a work tirelessly day and night to deliver the country. And then the citizens them want to help the police them a hand. The citizens them want protest, burn up tire and sitting. When police get to that the gunman them. The Minister of National Security tell the police to take them out. And I said, I beg to second that. Yeah? Remove them. Yesterday, me hear the Prime Minister say he was never a proponent of the death penalty. You me tell you? Yesterday, the Prime Minister said he was never a proponent of the death penalty. But the way all the boy them are going, them not have no soul. The crime them are commit is so gruesome, so heinous, so heartbreaking that the only way to cure society is to get rid of them. And me say, I would have kissed the Prime Minister Clark. But me don't want no lip service. I want action. One boy that the police them corner down a mobile this since week. The boy go to prison for murder, attempted murder, whatever. Come on, judge tell him say he not to be seen at the parish of Westmoreland. I don't know Westmoreland police them catch him. You understand? Judge I let out them boy are too easy. 3 year, 5 year. No sir. We have to do a peanut dread say. Hey up there. Yes. I don't know the rest side. Mm-mm. But just saw Emma Jesus she boiled 12 banana and a piece of yellow yam. My God. First for me in meeting someone in a public area for my safety. Then me aware of the potential deception. Yeah, Mr. Andrea, Mr. People that meet people online, and you the meet people online, you chat with them. Then chat with them for 3, 4, 5, 6 months. And Then swear to God say they know the man. You understand me? They firmly believe that they know the individual. Because nowadays, just somebody know the man and know the woman. People claim to them get offended. For everybody want to say no, so them are no man now woman. Mm-hmm. Them is just human. Mm-hmm. So pretty soon we are going to call the animal them just animal. You don't have to tell me it's a dog, a cat, a horse, a cow, nothing. Just say it's an animal. So, so animal in the water right there, so just go and go sit down at the water's edge. Mm-hmm. Me need to tell you what kind of animal in the water. Just go sit down at the edge and you will find out. But I never see how a piece of world turn upside down so. But anyway, one next thing when me that ask, yard foods and sister Emma and everybody where they come up from country. When the yam vine I run up, right? I grow up and the little piece of yam seed them depend it. Now yam seed them where you can plant and get more yam. Wanna talk to me country people. Because me know say don't remember me always have a whole heap of yam a grow at the fence side. Me always dig them up. But on the yam vine them, I always see these little teeny weeny yam. So little teeny yam, some of them not bigger than like a silver dollar. Some of them, just big enough. And I always plant them back and then grow. When I see somebody that asks online, so them never see it so like that yet. They never see it yet. So I wonder say, what if it good, if it can plant? And some people are say you can't, you know, to plant it back, you know, to plant it. I mean, like, me used to just when we reap the yam, me reap the yam, we just take them little seed there and just put them back in the ground and we get back more yam. And we still put the yam head in there too and get more yam. So me like, me don't think I did nothing me I do wrong. I'm using emergency, yes, and them can. Alright. See there? Alright, there's somebody who know. So emergency sometimes them grow very big. Okay, very well. Very well. Because me always see them like a little ball. Yeah, them like a little ball. So, me always I'm like, this has got to be the seed of the yam. This has got to be the part of the yam where to grow. To grow. So me always just when me cut down the vine, me just bury them right there. Right there in the ground. Well, thank you, Sister M&G, because me know so me didn't do nothing wrong. Me know me wasn't doing anything wrong. And I said, people must say, you don't need to use that. So, all right. So that is good. Watch us so. All right. So that is good. All right. We not finished start yet, you know. Next thing, when we sit down on mobile people, don't get hot, you know. Don't mobile been getting hot from way back. And then make Mobile continue until now. Mobile is like a eyesore to the country. You understand? When them declare Mobile, nowadays them not waiting until the yam fit. So the yam don't have any time to send out yam seeds. Oh, you're right. And when them picking yam them, when the yam them young. The yam them can't last long and them chowy. And so what? And so expensive. Then chowy and expensive like what? No, so I can't afford the yam. I say, have the yam please. $5.99 for the yellow yam. I can't afford it this time, Angie. When if you take a afford yam? When if you take a afford yam? So that the price them. I can't afford yam for that the price there at all. So dear. I rather not eat it, God no. I rather not eat it. 5 too dear. If people them a pick everything, so I'm going to store with there. Yeah. And me see, you remember me that show no? The planting. Jesus. The planting young, the planting young, the planting them young, the planting them, it coming like say, a source of skin. The plant them coming like say, a source of skin, me I tell you now. You understand? Mm-mm. Yeah. So those are some of the things that they go on down at Jamaica there. Yesterday, me talk about the people them, what they go down at Jamaica go fight the people them for the whole land them. I mean, I don't know why some people think say allow me a tell her say me a talk foolishness because I know everybody want to live a foreign forever. People want to go back to Jamaica, go live, and family members don't want them to come out of the house. So I don't know that's why no fun got end up on no grave because uno want to go fight over all land and can't go nowhere we do know. So Emma boy say Emma we have some real similar experiences. He said I used to cook yam seed in a condensed pan and mama fireside. Yes, when we look remember I used to cook yam seed, but we used to make one little pot in a condensed can. Make one little pot in the condensed can. I roast one a dumpling. Roast one dumpling, put piece of stick. Put piece of stick in the dumpling and put it at the fire and make it roast. Sometimes they eat the dumpling so raw. You just a take up in there. You just a take up. In your teeth. Lord of mercy. Cake up, let me tell you to cake up in your teeth. No stop cake up in your teeth. Oh Lordy, Lordy, Lordy. Oh, oh my word. Yeah, we used to do them something on a little bit. Those things were so nice. There's nowadays, in my opinion, I have no nice life. Them cook up in a house. Them opinion cook up in a house. And they on iPad, they on phone. No wonder them so anti-social. Because when we were growing up and we socialize with each other, chat with each other, interact with each other, and because of that, we knew and understood how to take the good with the bad. So if we were with someone and we had a difference, whatever the difference may be, we know that today we fight or we argue or whatever. Tomorrow we are friends again. We're talking again. You understand? That's how it was. Nowadays, you and somebody have a little bit of difference. There is no making up. All they want to do is just dirt you. That's it. There is no making up. There is no tomorrow. We are talk good. Nothing like that. You diss me today, me dirt you today. We don't have no makeup and makeup. Me don't know how this a society Me don't know how this a society expect to function, so me don't know how this a society expect its people to live like that. There was a news article a few days ago. A few days ago, I saw it, and the guy, um, the guy, he was helping a deer. I'm trying to say, how people in this world these days are so cold and hollow. The guy was helping a deer to cross the road, right? The guy not have no gun, the guy not have no weapon, him not have nothing. Him a help one deer to cross the road. And him a flag down the traffic to hold on till the deer cross the road. I know so one man just pull out his weapon and just kill the man. No. So not tell me no if we are not a lost nation. Tell me if we are not a lost people. You understand me? We are must the people where Jeremiah said God tell him to have four things he have to do with we. Four things he have to do with we. And if he make we die by the sword, make dog nyam we, nobody know they fi bury we, make junk all we all junk nyam we body, and the beast, all kind of animal, come nyam we dead body, nobody fi bury. How much so, brother? Because we can't expect to live like this. It is so sad. We are so callous towards each other. People see guns like them are toys. People just think that them can just pull out a weapon and just take somebody's life like it's nothing. Like it is nothing matter but say you feel threatened. You're in your car. The person is outside of your car. The person don't have a weapon. If you feel so threatened, you're not driving a one. You're in the safety of your car. And the person not threatening you. All the person asks you to do is to stop and make him make the deer cross the street. Uh-huh. And you just take the man life. Uh-huh. Can you believe it? But me I go read the story for you know, cause in case some things say, I'm not even though the story happened. It happened I think in September. It happened. A Washington man was fatally shot while trying to help a deer cross the street. Daniel Spate, a 37-year-old corrections officer, was attempting to slow traffic near his home to help the animals when he was shot. He was off duty when he was shot and he had been with the corrections department for just a year and a half. His wife said the man was in his driveway, slowing northbound and southbound traffic. She had her back turned to him when she heard a pop. When she turned around, she saw her husband in the roadway with a gunshot wound. He had been shot in the chest. Deputies responded to the home and found the man DEAD. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? The sheriff's office inspected surveillance video from nearby businesses and determined that the driver of a light-colored Lexus sedan was involved in the shooting. The next day, the sedan was spotted by an off-duty officer. The driver, a 22-year-old man, Dylan Pickard, was pulled over. When a sergeant asked Pickard if he knew why he was pulled over, he responded, "I shot somebody." Pickard also told law enforcement that the firearm in his car was the one he used in the shooting. You see, people just think that them can't just shoot people. So, I miss I on some of the live chat show. Did you pick up Halloween gifts yet at the people them? No, sir. Sister M&G. No, my darling sister. I did not go out go pick up no Halloween. Me never did go out go pick up Halloween gifts. Me who foot. No, no, my sister. Me never go out go pick up the Halloween candy this year because it did. Well, I did I did degree. I did never told them. We get two starbursts from a job. That I have some starbursts to me. Yeah. You can't do without this one if I candy. So yeah, you just make up my mind to do without that. I, yes, man. Last year, okay. Last year I went out and I picked up a whole lot of candy. Yeah. This year, oh sorry guys. This year I was like, oh well. I want to find down for a pick up candy. Uh-uh. You know the cool, and it was raining too. So a lot of people didn't go pick up my candy because I had people at work who were saying they buy candy and they carry them back at Walmart because it was so cold and raining. A lot of children didn't come out. Yeah, so they didn't get have nobody to get the candy them too. No, it's not money like that. I saw kids were coming to the door and stuff like, no, it's not money to buy no candy. And I didn't see that going go pick up any. Maybe next year that's life. But we did do live. I did live this morning. You did about 40 minutes of live this morning. Cause we did the Bible reading. You listened to the Bible reading this morning. And last night, we can't wait to continue reading the book of Jeremiah. God know people. We can't wait to continue reading it. So I was talking to a friend of mine today, and I said to him, "Did you ever read the book of Jeremiah?" And he said to me, he says, "Yes, Trev. Book of Jeremiah is a great book. You know that Jeremiah was one of those, like you must say, like Jeremiah was one of God's favorite prophets or something like that." I mean, I said, "Really?" Yes, Sister Emanji, we did have live this morning. The live run this morning from after 5 until around a little bit after 6. Mm-hmm. And he was like, my friend was saying to me, like, Jeremiah was like one of God's chosen prophets. I mean, I said to him, say, so you never read in a Jeremiah where Jeremiah say, God told him that him never tell the forefathers, tell them to burn no incense and make no sacrifice to him. Him say, no, never read it. Never read that. him say oh him have one app on him phone where him can just put in one verse of the Bible and the app tell him what the verse of the Bible is talking about and that he use. He said like seriously. Me say well that me use. Me read the Bible for myself. He said MMG said I have to watch the replay because I have to go to work early. Oh, okay. Okay, sister, no problem. In the morning we go and read again. Um early time. Early time. If you're not awake yet, when you wake up, you listen to it. Stress not thyself. And just now, there is no rush. This is another day. Yeah. So I was saying to my friend, you never read them something in Jeremiah? He must say no. But then if you go and go read the book of Jeremiah and then come back and make me talk about it. Because we can hold a conversation with you. If you ever said me to Jeremiah was one of God's favorite prophets. Yet you ever tell me say you not seen the Bible Jeremiah says God tell him say he never tell Moses them nothing. And I'm going to say, even though Moses and Samuel stood before him still not have nothing to do with those people. Like, seriously, you never read that in the Bible? Mr. McGuire, don't mean mess it up. Mr. McGuire, don't mean mess it up. It's not reading your Bible for yourself. And you will see it. And you will see it. Always Jeremiah said God tell him. But I say that about my life, that's true. You know, say, I was there. Yeah, Mr. But Mr. D say nothing. Mr. Pan library and there, but I couldn't say a word. Maybe just have to listen. I may have my piece of earpiece in my ear. Somebody that listen. But me didn't say nothing. Me didn't say nothing at all. I'm here, yeah, call up me name. Me here, yeah, sister Emanji, me here, yeah, call up me name. I'm just here, sister Emanji, call up me name now. I can't even say a word. Just like Mike. Maybe Mike, I was there. Maybe Mike, one of them be here. Funny live. And him not stop call up my name. I can't say a word. Me have to just listen to him and call up my name. I say, you might call up my name, man. I can't say nothing. Yes, guys. I tell you. Yes, Sister Emanji. So, this part of the Bible what we reach now is extremely. You understand? Yeah. And let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. When you go to do things like read the Bible, you have to go in with that open mind. You cannot go in with your mind already closed off to the things that you think you know. The things that you believe, that you have been taught to believe. You understand? You have to go in with an open mind. Because if you're not going with an open mind, you're not going to be able to identify the inconsistencies. Like we have been finding in the Bible. You understand? If God never tell Moses nothing, where Moses get it from? Okay, so Andrea, take me time, one novel. What's your? Well, Andrea, maybe we'll stop it. Andrea, I have one right here, so when me find, let me tell you what name. You know, Andrea. Andrea love the reading, you know. Just like how me love the reading. Andrea, me fine. That's the time Angie said. Yeah, banana bun up your mouth because you little butter man. Because you got cream. Oh, oh, Andrea, me find a novel here so name. The Atonement Child. Francine Rivers. The Atonement Child. Anybody ever read that book there before? The Atonement Child. In one horrific, terrifying moment, Diana Carey's perfect life is shattered by grief. Her, you know what Mr. Grape I mean, right? Her future irrevocably altered by an unwanted pregnancy. Her doting family torn apart. Her seemingly rock solid faith is pushed to the limit as she faces the most momentous choice of her life to embrace or to end the untimely life within her. Wow. And the review says wonderful. One says, I've read The Atonement Child and reread parts of it, and it will be making the rounds of my friends. A powerful book on many levels. Mhm. I became so involved with the characters that I could scarcely put the book down. This is a measure of a great book. Wanna hear that? You hear that, Andrea? Mama's and Prince. How you doing, my love? You hear that, Andrea? Them say it's a great book. Them say it is a great book, Andrea. Mama's and Prince is Mr. Andrea. Know that you make me take up the book, you know. No, you make me take up the book, Andrea. Lord of His mercy. Know that you make me take up the book, my savior. Andrea, make me take up the book. What are we gonna do, Sister Andrea? Now that I have picked up the book, I tell you, I tell me to read the book, Andrea. I tell me to read the book. Me no mind, you know. Me no mind reading. Me no mind start reading it right now. Whatever. Andrea, say my ears are ready. All right, my mouth is ready too, my love. Trust me. Yes, sir. Make us see how this a book you go. Let's see how it goes. Hold on, let's see. Let's see. Says the atonement child. All right, Angela, make sure say I have hold on there, Angela. Hold on, sis, hold on. Mm, mm, mm. You better do as Andrea say if you know what. Just say, I better do as Andrea say if me know what's good for me. You're right, you know. You are so right. You are so right. Yeah. All right. So we are going to read this the Atonement Child. I'm anxious to find out what this book says, just as much as you are anxious to listen to it. So let us read it. let, let us read it. The Atonement Child. It was on a cold January night when the unthinkable, unpardonable happened. The evening had gone as usual for Dinah Carey as she served food at the Staten Mania House, a retirement home established for Middleton's city employees. She enjoyed her work, often talking animatedly with the elderly patrons who came down from their small apartments to communal meals in the basement cafeteria. Sally Wentworth was a great cook and planned a varied menu. The only complaint Dinah had heard in 5 months on the job was how much food there was left over. Most of the people who lived at the manor had come through the Depression years and hated to see waste. What do you mean? What do you mean? I'm reading. Good evening to you, Kat. Good evening. Good evening, guys. Well, they asked me to start the reading of another novel, and I have started. I go by what my listeners ask me to do because I am only here because of you all, right? Yeah. Nobody pay me to be here. I'm not here on any endorsement. I am here because of you. And so I am at your service. So you say I should start the reading, so I'm starting the reading. All right, let's continue. The rest of the diners had left for the evening, all but Mr. Packard, who was taking his time sipping his cup of decaf. Your car's still in the shop, Dinah. I don't know how I did that like that, but I'm gonna leave it right there, just like that. Yes, sir. They are still waiting for a part to come in. Thought it was supposed to be fixed yesterday. I guess there was some kind of a delay, she said with a shrug. She wasn't worried about it. Is that young man of yours going to come pick you up tonight? He said, watching Dana fill the salt shakers. She smiled at him as she moved on to the next table. Not this evening, Mr. Packard. He's teaching a Bible study. Maybe Sally can take you home. It's not far to the bus stop. A mile at least, and a pretty girl like you shouldn't be out on your own after dark. Hey, I'm always very careful, sir. Careful isn't always good enough these days. I've gotten so, what? I don't understand right this though. I've gotten so I hate reading the newspaper. What? I don't know. That has to be a typo. So we're going to continue reading because I'm not stressing about it. Time was, it means time once upon a time. Why is people going to talk like that? Once upon a time, you could walk from one end of town to the other without worrying. I am reading it like that, guys, but let me read for you exactly what the book says. It says, time was you could walk from one end of town to the other without worrying. We don't talk like that. We say, once upon a time or in time gone by, you could walk from one end of town to the other without worrying. He shook his head sadly. Now the town's gotten so big, you don't know anybody anymore. People coming and going all the time. You never know who is living next door to you. Could be Pollyanna or Son of Sam. Houses spreading all over tarnation. And no plan to the way it's sprawling. I remember when I was a boy, we knew everybody. We left our doors unlocked. Never had to be afraid. I don't know what the world's coming to these days. Makes me glad I'm almost at the end of my life. When I was growing up, we used to sit outside on the front porch and talk. Neighbors would come by and have lemonade. Those were some good times. Now, nobody has time for anything. They don't even build porches on houses anymore. Everybody is inside watching television and not saying much of anything to anybody. Dana stayed close, responding to the ache of loneliness she heard in his words and voice. He wasn't whining, he was grieving. His wife had passed away 4 months before. The family had gathered around him long enough for the memorial service and then scattered across the states again. His two sons lived on the West Coast, too far away to make frequent visits. His daughter lived in Indiana, but called in every Sunday. Sundays were good days for Mr. Packard. Tonight was Wednesday. I miss Trooper, he said quietly. He smiled wistfully. I used to call Fred a trooper. Mr. Packard told Dinah how he had come up with the nickname just after World War II. He had fought in the Pacific 2 years before being blown off a transport. He landed in a field hospital where he spent another 3 months before he was shipped stateside. While I was away, Freda had our son and managed a part-time job. When my father got sick with cancer, she quit and stepped into his shoes to help my mother run the family grocery store. My Freda was a home front soldier. His expression softened in memory, his eyes glistening with tears. So I called her Trooper, and it stuck. We had to close down, Dinah, Sally said from behind the counter. She said it loudly enough so that poor Mr. Packard would hear. Dana looked at his face and wanted to weep. Taking the hint, the old man got up. Everybody's in a hurry these days, he said with a glance towards the kitchen. Then his eyes came to rest on her again. Good night, Dinah. You be careful out there tonight, okay? I will, sir, she said with a fond smile, touching his shoulder as he passed. Try not to worry. Juan Garcia began putting chairs upside down on the tables, gathering Mr. Packard's spoon, cup, and saucer. Dinah watched the old man walk stiffly across the room. His arthritis was troubling him again. I didn't mean to break up your little chat, Sally said, as Dinah put the things into the big industrial dishwasher and pulled the door down. Some of these old people could talk until your hair turned gray, but still took her sweater from the hook on the wall. They have got no place to go and nothing to do. He misses his wife. Poor thing, Dinah said, and thought about following Mr. Packard's suggestion and asking Sally for a ride. I know. I miss my husband too. I miss my kids. You miss your handsome fiancé? She dumped her shoulder back into the counter and shrugged her shoulder in her sweater and parka. Hey guys, what's up? Mama Grand Print is here, and so is everybody else. I see a lot of people that I don't know, but welcome, guys. Thank you all so much for stopping by. Thank you all so much for coming. I'm doing what I do. Let us continue. She dumped her shoulder bag onto the counter and shrugged into her sweater and parka. And as Scarlett O'Hara always said, tomorrow is another day. Picking up her bag, she said a brisk good night and headed for the back door. Sally seemed in such a hurry, Dinah didn't want to impose upon her. Besides, it wasn't that far to the bus stop, and there were plenty of street lights along the way. Getting her backpack from the storage room, Dinah slipped off her rubber soles, white shoes, and pulled on her snow boots. Zipping the shoes into the backpack, she said good night to one. Crossing the dining room, she went into the lobby that or opened out onto the back parking lot. Sally had already turned the lights down for the night. There was only the soft glow of security lights and the bright lights behind Dana, where one was getting ready to wash and wax the floors. Pulling on her parka, Dinah went to the back door. The idea that she needed to be concerned hadn't even crossed her mind before. The manor wasn't exactly a center of crime. The worst thing that had happened was someone spray painting graffiti on the walls 3 months ago. The manager had painted over the double letters and numbers by the next afternoon, and the police increased the number of times they drove by each evening. The vandals hadn't returned. Pushing the door open, Dinah stepped outside. The air was crisp. The snow from last week's fall was packed hard and dingy. Her breath puffed white in the stillness. She heard the lock click behind her and shivered slightly. She zipped her parka up to her neck and looked around. Maybe it was Mr. Parker's warning that made her edgy. There was nothing else to bother her. It was an evening like any other, no darker and no colder. There were shadows all around, but nothing unfamiliar or threatening as she walked down the wheelchair ramp. She took her usual path through the back parking lot to Maple Street. It was only a few blocks down to Main, another eight to Sycamore, and a few more to 16th where she caught the bus. It only took 15 minutes to reach her stop at Anderson. From there, it was 7 blocks to the dorm. Dinah glanced at her wristwatch. 9:30. Janet Wells, her roommate, would be in the library studying late tonight. Janet always left things till the last minute and then aced every exam. Dinah smiled to herself, wishing she were that fortunate. She had to study all term long to pull grades high enough to keep her scholarship. Relaxing as she walked, Dinah enjoyed the clear night. She had always liked this street, with its turn of the century houses. She could imagine people sitting on their front porches in the summertime, sipping lemonade just the way Mr. Packard remembered, like something out of a movie. It was life far removed from the way she had grown up and on Ocean Avenue in San Francisco, and yet similar as well. Looking back, she realized how she had been protected by her parents and clustered in homeschooling. In many ways, she had led an idyllic life with few bumps and twists in the road. Of course, there had been times when she had been curious to know what lay beyond the edges her parents had planted around her. When she asked, they explained, and she complied. She loved and respected them too much to do otherwise. Her mom and dad had been Christians forever. She couldn't remember a time when they hadn't been involved in the church or some community service project. Her mother sang in the choir and led Sunday morning Bible studies. Dinah had grown up surrounded by love, protected, and guided every step of the way, right up to the doors of New Life College. And now, it seemed her life would continue that way, with Ethan Goodson Turner at the reins. Not that I'm complaining, Lord. I am thankful, so thankful. You have blessed me with the parents I have and the man I'm going to marry. Everywhere I look, I see your blessings. The world is a beautiful place, up to the very stars in the heavens. Lord, would you please give poor old Mr. Packard a portion of the hope and joy I feel? He needs you. And Sally, Lord, she's always fretting about something and always in a hurry. She has so little joy in her life. And one, he said tonight that one of his children is sick. Father, Pedro, the little one can't afford insurance, and a car passed her slowly. Dinah noticed a Massachusetts plate before the vehicle sped up. The red taillights were like a pair of red eyes staring back at her as the station wagon went down the street, then squealed onto Sycamore. Frowning slightly, she watched it disappear. Odd, she thought. Her thoughts wandered again as she walked more slowly past her favorite house. It was two doors from Sycamore, a big Victorian with a porch around the front. The lights were the lights were on behind the Nottingham lace curtains. The front door was heavy mahogany with small leaded panes of glass and stained glass at the top. The pattern was a sunburst of golds and yellows. It would be nice to live on a shady street like this one, she thought, in a big house, complete with a trimmed lawn, a flower garden in the front, and a yard in the back with a swing and a sandbox for the children. She smiled at her dreaming. Ethan would probably be offered a church in a big city like Los Angeles or Chicago or even New York. A man with his talents for preaching wouldn't end up in a small college town in the Midwest. She couldn't believe a young man like Ethan would look twice at her, let alone fall in love and ask her to marry him. He said he knew the day he met her that God meant her to be his wife. She wouldn't have met him at all if her parents hadn't insisted she visit New Life College. She had already decided on a college in California. When they mentioned NLC, she declined, convinced the cost and distance would eliminate it. They assured her they had planned for the first and the second would be good for her. They wanted her to become more independent, and attending college in Illinois was a good way to accomplish that. Besides, her grades were good enough that she could receive scholarships. Dinah smiled about it now. Her parents had even been subtle in what they wanted for her. Her mother had left pamphlets of a dozen Christian colleges scattered about the house to tweak her curiosity. Each had been opened to beautiful, idyllic places with stretches of lawn lined with manicured gardens. NLC had a quad with six majestic brick, brick and white columned buildings, two to the east, two to the west, one on the north, and the church to the south. But what appealed most to Dinah were the wonderful, young, smiling faces of the students. There had never been any question that she would end up at a Christian college. Where better to learn how to serve the Lord than in an environment centered on Christ? Yet, the Midwest had seemed so far from home, she had dismissed it. While completing her final year of work for her high school diploma, she sent out a dozen applications and received as many acceptance letters. She narrowed it down to four possibilities, dismissing all those outside the state. Her father suggested she and her mother take a trip to Southern California and see the three campuses that were there. After visiting one in San Jose, she contacted the others and made appointments with the Dean of Admissions to discuss programs and scholarships. While she was gone, her father had contacted 4 colleges he thought good enough for his daughter. One was in Pennsylvania, one in Indiana, and two in Illinois. Sister Aralise, how are you doing? Good to see you, my dear. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome into the live, guys. Thank you all so much. If you all like the reading of novels, then this is the place for you because that's what I'm doing tonight, really. I'm reading this novel. So if that appeals to you, then stick around. Stick around. Okay? Let us continue. We are reading the book actually called The Atonement Child, Francine Rivers, by Francine Rivers. One sent a video. Two had students call and talk with her about the campus, activities, and curriculum. The last was New Life College. They sent a catalog and an invitation to come and take a first-hand look at what they had to offer. She thought it preposterous and a terrible waste of her parents' money, but her father insisted she go. You have to learn to fly someone. You have to learn to fly sometime, he had said. It was the first time she had gone anywhere without her parents or a church group. All the arrangements had been made by the college beforehand, so she had the safety net of knowing she wouldn't be on her own for long. A student would meet her at the airport and bring her to the campus, where she would spend 2 days with a personal guide. Dinah smiled as she remembered her reaction when she first saw Ethan with a sign bearing her name. She thought he was the most gorgeous young man she had ever seen. Her mother had told her the college would probably send a nice young man to meet her and drive her to the college. She hadn't expected someone who looked like he belonged in the movies. She was completely flustered and tongue-tied. But by the time they were halfway to the campus, he had put her so much at ease that she had shared her Ocean Avenue life with him. By the end of the trip, she knew Ethan didn't just look good, he was good. He was on fire for the Lord, ambitious for godly service, and filled with ideas about the ministry. My father is a pastor, and his father before him, he told her. My great grandfather was a circuit rider for the gospel. I'm following in their footsteps. By the time they drove beneath the brick arch to the NLC campus, she was convinced Ethan Goodson Turner would be the next Billy Graham. Upon their arrival at the women's dorm, Ethan introduced her to Charlotte Hill, a music major from Alabama. Charlotte was vibrant and full of Southern charm and hospitality. A senior graduating in June, she had already made plans to go with a mission group to Mexico and present the gospel in music and drama. Over the next 2 days, every minute was taken up seeing the campus, especially the departments in which Dinah was most interested: music and education. She heard about various programs, scholarships, and activities and met dozens of people. Charlotte seemed to know everyone and introduced Dinah to all of them. She met professors and students, the deans, the manager of the bookstore, and even two of the gardeners who kept the grounds. Dinah loved every minute of her stay. On Saturday evening, to her surprise and delight, Ethan joined them for dinner at the mess hall. She blushed when he sat down. He lingered until a girl came over and asked if he was going to an evening Bible study. Half the girls on campus wish they could marry him. I'm not surprised, Dinah had said, remembering how embarrassed she had been for daydreaming about just that during the drive from the airport. Charlotte had looked at her then, straight on, and smiled. You should come back. He'll be a senior next year. She hadn't dis- She hadn't dissembled. Are you suggesting I join his legion of admirers? Charlotte laughed. She didn't say anything about Ethan after that, but it was clear she had done her best to plant a seed for thought. They hadn't been back at the dorm 15 minutes when Ethan called. He told Dinah he would be picking her up and taking her back to the airport. She thanked him and said she would be ready. By morning, Dinah had decided against coming back to NLC because of Ethan. If she was infatuated after all, after a few days, she knew she would be head over heels in love if she saw him every day of the year. And NLC wasn't so big a campus that she would miss him. No, she didn't want to become one of the legions, and she had no false hopes of becoming his choice. She smiled now, thinking of it, feeling his engagement ring on her finger with the back of her thumb. She had been so nervous on the drive back to O'Hare, she had told Ethan he could drop her off in front of the Delta terminal, but he had insisted he would accompany her inside. He parked, took her carry on, and stayed with her. When they got inside the terminal, he stood with her in line as she got her boarding pass. Then he sat with her in the gate area. She had been so embarrassed, she wanted to crawl up under the seat. I know I haven't seen much of the world, Ethan, but I don't need babysitting, she had said, trying to laugh off his concerns. I know that, he said quietly. I don't need a bodyguard either. He looked at her, and she felt foolish and young, too young for him. There had been such an intensity in his eyes that she had blushed. Come back to NLC, Dinah. It had sounded like a command. She smiled. Do you have to meet a quota? God wants you here. He sounded so serious, so certain. She had to ask, how do you know? Surely, if God wanted her at NLC, God would tell her. I just know, Dinah. I knew the moment I saw you. Looking into his blue eyes, she decided not to dismiss what he'd said. In truth, she wanted to believe him. She wanted to see Ethan Turner again. And the thought that he wanted the same thing was heady incentive. Was heady incentive indeed. Will you pray about it? She nodded, knowing she would be doing little else. She didn't hear one word from Ethan through spring and summer, but 5 minutes after she walked into the gymnasium for registration that fall, he came up to her and put his hand on her shoulder, as though staking public claim to her. The first thing he did was introduce her to Joseph Guillermo, his best friend and roommate. Joe was a surprise. He didn't appear to fit the NLC mold, but looked more like a young man she had seen around San Francisco on excursions with her parents. Tall, dark-eyed, strongly built, Joe looked street tough and older than Ethan. Not so much in years as worldly experience. No wonder, Joe said cryptically and extended his hand. His fingers curved around hers firmly as she smiled. 3 months later, after she was wearing an engagement ring, Joe told her that Ethan had come back to their apartment the day he had picked her up at the airport and said he had met the girl he was going to marry. I asked him if he had consulted God, and Ethan said it was God who put it in his head. Smiling again now, as she had when Joe first told her that, Dinah reached the corner of 16th. She let her mind drift along rosy avenues. Ethan had a wonderful future laid out for him. He would graduate with honors at the end of the year. Dean Abernathy was very impressed with his work and was encouraging him to go on for his master's. The dean had already arranged for Ethan to work part time at one of the local churches. Dinah would be able to finish her education as well. Ethan was adamant that she got her degree, convinced that her studies in music and youth ministry would be of great use in his ministry. She felt so blessed. They would be equally yoked, working together for the glory of God. What more could she want? Oh Lord, you are so good to me. I will do anything for you. All I am, all that I ever all that I ever hope to be is from you, Father. Use me as you will. A car pulled up alongside her and slowed to her pace. Her heart jumped as she noticed it looked like the same one that had passed her on Maple Street. Her nerves tensed as the window lowered and a disembodied male voice said, "Are you going to campus, miss?" "Yes, I am," she said, before she thought better of it. "I can give you a lift." "No, no, thank you. I'm going there myself. I'm visiting my brother. Unfortunately, I'm lost. It's my first time in town. He lives near the main gate of the campus." She relaxed and stepped closer. Leaning down, she pointed, "Go down a mile to Henderson and turn right. Keep going, and you'll run right into it. It's a block past the city park." She couldn't see the man's face. "If I give you a ride, would you show me?" Oh my God. A strange foreboding gripped her. "No, no, thank you," she said. She didn't want to offend the man. What excuse could she offer? She looked towards the bus stop where a woman was sitting and found an excuse. "I'm meeting a friend." "Sure, thanks for the directions," the man said, sounding far less friendly. The window whirled up again. As he drove on down 16, she saw the car bore the same Massachusetts plates. The two red taillights stared back at her as the car passed the bus stop. Shivering, she walked on. She recognized the waitress sitting on the bench. "Hi, Martha. How are you this evening?" "So so. My feet are killing me." "Was someone trying to pick you up back there?" "Not really. He was lost." "Yeah, right. That's his story. He was looking for the campus. I hope you told him where to go." "Yeah, I gave him directions." Martha laughed. "I'm sure you didn't give him the ones I would have given him." They talked about their jobs until the bus arrived. Martha climbed aboard first and moved to her usual place near the back, where she could read her romance novel uninterrupted. Dana took a seat at the front across from the driver. Her first day aboard, she had noticed the pins on the lapel of Charles's neat uniform jacket. When she asked what they were, he said he had one to show for each 5-year period he had driven without an accident. After a few weeks of riding with him, Dana had gone to the trophy store and had a plaque made up for him that said, "In honor of distinguished service to Middleton, Charles Booker Washington is awarded the title of Driver Emeritus." He had laughed when he opened it, but it was now proudly displayed next to the no smoking sign at the front of the bus. "How's things, Charlie?" He grinned at her as he hit the button to close the door. "Pretty good now that you're aboard. I missed your sunny smile last night. Ethan picked me up. He's driving a Cadillac yet?" She laughed. "No, sir. Still his little old Buick." She leaned forward in the seat and rested her arms on the iron railing. Charlie nodded. "When he gets to church, he'll get his Cadillac." You don't hear that, people? Yeah, when he gets his church, he will get the Cadillac. We all know how that go with the pastor. Yeah, I ain't saying nothing else. I'm going to leave it right there. We don't let our preachers drive anything else. Treat him good. I noticed when she had gone to Charlie's church. Uh, well, are there people? She had seen the new maroon Cadillac parked in the reserved pastor's space. She had enjoyed herself so much at the service, she pleaded with Ethan to go back with her. He had gone once, grudgingly, but had refused to attend with her again. He said the service was a little too lively for his taste. He hadn't felt comfortable with the loud gospel music pouring from the choir, nor with the way the members of the congregation interjected their remarks during the pastor's sermon. It felt irreverent. She hadn't shared his discomfort, though the service had been far from the kind of service to which she was accustomed. She felt the spirit moving in that church. The members celebrated their love for Jesus and for each other. She had enjoyed the experience. Something about it had stirred her. The pastor had preached straight from the word, and the people made sure to know his points were sinking in. However, Diana didn't argue with Ethan's assessment. She had learned early that he took his role as the spiritual head of his relationship to heart. She also knew he had been brought up in a conservative denomination who showed their zeal in other ways. His parents, like his mother and father, were deeply involved in community action and charities. She and Charlie talked about all manner of things. He had been driving a Middleton city bus since before she was born and had learned a lot about human nature. He didn't mind sharing what he knew. Tonight, Mr. Packard was on Dana's mind. I know the Packards, Charlie said. He and his wife used to get on the bus every Tuesday and ride it to the end of the line. Good people. They are really good people. I read that she passed on. Too bad. She was such a nice lady. Maybe I could tell him you miss seeing him. Yes, you could do that, girl. Maybe I'll drop by to see him myself. Between the two of us, we might get him out of his apartment and back among the living. He brought the bus close to the curb and slowed to a stop at the corner of Henderson. Thanks, Charlie. You watch yourself now, baby girl. I will. Tell Mr. Packard I have a front seat saved for him whenever he wants to go for a ride, he said, and hit the button. The doors swished closed, and he gave her away. Dinah waved back and watched as the bus pulled away from the curb. Adjusting the strap of her shoulder bag, she started the walk to campus. Anderson Avenue was a long, pretty street with old growth maples and new brick houses with snow-covered lawns. In the city park located a block south of the campus was a small community center, turning as youth leaders and teachers. In 2 years, she would be working there. The center housed the press. The center housed the daily preschool program in the morning and youth activities through the afternoon every day of the week except Sunday, when everything in town shuts down for worship services. Only a few businesses, mostly nationwide. As Diana came abreast of the park, she paused, frowning. The car with the Massachusetts plates was there, just across the street, parked beyond a cobblestone driveway beneath a canopy of winter bare branches. She peered at the vehicle, anxious, then noticed with relief that no one sat in the driver's seat. The man must have found his brother after all. He had said he. A twig snapped to the right, and her nerves jumped. She turned and saw a tall, dark shape moving towards her. A man. Every instinct screamed, "Run!" But surprise made her hesitate, and within a few seconds, she She had made a terrible mistake. It took for the man to take a hold of her. Further Whitehall received the call at Middleton Police Department at 10:37 Wednesday morning. It had been a quiet evening with only one complaint about a party disturbing the peace. Sergeant Dean Ferguson had reported a few minutes earlier that it was nothing more than a bunch of baby boomers feeling nostalgic and singing to Elvis records. This call was altogether different. Someone screaming in the park. A woman said, "Come quick, please, please, someone screaming." The caller's telephone number came up on Purdy's computer screen, along with the address, Henderson Avenue. Speaking with a trained calmness, she assured the woman help would be on the way and put her on hold in order to dispatch a squad car to the location. Frank Lawson was just pulling up to Ernie's Diner on 16th for a badly needed coffee break when his radio crackled with the message. Muttering under his breath, he rapped the radio sharply and picked up the speaker. Depressing the button, he identified himself and his car number. "My radio's having PMs again." Purdy, repeat the message. "There's a disturbance at the park at Henderson Avenue." "How close are you?" 10 blocks, but I'm on my way." Putting the speaker back, he swung the squad car in a sharp U-turn and hit his flashing red lights. Few cars were on the road at this time of the night, so he didn't use his siren. No use waking people up if it wasn't necessary. Andrea, are you at the cause of this tonight, you know? But anyway, I thank you, my love. You know, so when it's this time of the night, I hardly like to read this time of the night. You know why? I like to read out loud, I should say, this time of the night. As me usually get a little dipsy in the eyes, if you know what I mean. And with that, and when my eyes getting tipsy, my tongue get little lipsy as well. But anywho, as he barreled down 16, he saw a white station wagon heading west. The red taillights glow as the car pulled to the side of the road in obedience to the law. Frank never passed it. He made a sharp left onto Henderson Avenue. Coming to a smooth stop by the park, he grabbed his heavy flashlight, made a quick call to Purdy and got out. He surveyed the park as he came around his squad car. His heart quickened. The hair on the back of his neck prickled. Something was wrong. He was sure about it. Adrenaline pumping, Frank glanced around and saw lights on in 3 houses near the park. A woman came out to stand on her front porch of one. "Over there!" She came down the front steps in her bathrobe. "Over there, officer! Over there, near the activity center! Please, hurry! Someone's been hurt!" "Go on back to your house, woman. We'll take care of it." Another squad car had pulled up, and Frank saw Greg Towson get out. The woman fled up her steps and banged the screen door behind her. But she remained silhouetted in the doorway, watching, her arms hugged around herself to ward off the cold. Greg reached where Frank was. "Do you see anything?" "No, but it doesn't feel right." "Take the path over there, and I'll come in from this side." "Gotcha." Frank knew every inch of this park like he knew the back of his hand. He brought his 3 children there to play every Saturday afternoon so his wife could have a few hours to herself. There was enough light from the park lamps that he didn't need to use the flashlight, but he kept it in his left hand anyway, and his gun in his right. He saw evidence of a struggle in the snow near the sidewalk that ran the length of Henderson to the NLC campus. A little further in, he found a backpack. Just beyond it
was a torn parka. He walked along the edge of the pathway, cautiously, eyes sweeping, ears trained for any sound out of the ordinary. As he neared the activity center, he heard a rustling sound in the bushes nearby. Someone was scrambling frantically away, like an animal scampering for a hiding place. Instinctively, he moved the loop from his gun and pulled it free of its holster. Police! Come on out the walkway where we can see you. He moved slightly away from the light so he wouldn't make himself an easy target. The rustling stopped, and he heard another sound, soft and broken. A woman sobbing. Oh God! Oh God, no! Not here! Not here! Not where I bring my kids every week! Oh my God, I can't believe it! I cannot believe it. Andrea! He says he can't believe it. Y'all know what happened, right? Without me even having to say, y'all know what happened. Okay, so we're going to continue. Holstering his gun, Frank went to the bushes and drew some branches back. Training his flashlight, he saw a girl huddled beneath a canopy of leaves. Flinching back, she covered her face with her arm. Her blonde hair was tangled and damp with the snow. Frank noticed the ripped waitress uniform. Jesus. The bleeding scratches on her shoulder, the fresh bloodstains on her skirt. Anger filled him. Easy, easy, he said gently, lowering the light so it wasn't straight on her. He hunkered down. She cowered from him. I'm Sergeant Lawson, miss. I'm here to help you. He kept talking quietly, trying to give her a sense of safety. She raised her head after a few minutes, her blue eyes wide and dilated. Her lower lip was split and bleeding. Her right eye was swollen shut from a blow. Drawing her knees up, she sat on the dirty snow and then, covering her head with her arms, she cried. Compassion filled Frank, along with a sick rage. Whoever had done this should pay. OMG. Greg approached from the other side of the park, his footsteps crunching in the hard snow. The girl's head came up again, eyes wide and frightened. He could see the pulse hammering in her throat. It's all right, dear. It's all right, he said, sensitive to her fear. He straightened and stood aside so she could see Greg. This is Officer Townsend, miss. He was just checking the area to see if anyone's still around. He looked at Greg. Greg shook his head and looked past him to the young girl huddling in the covering of bushes. Rape? I'm afraid so. Better call an ambulance. No, no, the girl said brokenly, covering her face again. No, please, please don't. Her shoulders began to shake violently. Ma'am, you need medical assistance. No, I want to go home. I just want to go home. You're going to be all right, he said firmly, hunkering down again, keeping his voice calm and low. I'm not going to leave you alone, ma'am. He glanced up at Greg. Tell them no sirens and lights only when they need them. Done, Greg said tightly and strode off towards the west side of the park where they had left the squad cars. Come on out, ma'am. You are safe now. She moved, scooting a little bit closer and then stopping. Sinking back, she started to cry again. Her body bent over, her arms wrapped around her middle. She rocked herself slowly, head down. A lump lodged in Frank's throat. She didn't look more than 18. Was it someone you knew? He wished he didn't have to ask questions, but every minute counted if they were going to arrest her attacker. She shook her head slowly. What did he look like? I don't know, she stammered. I never saw his face. She tried to get up and uttered a gasp of pain. Frank reached out, but she drew back sharply, clearly not wanting to be touched. She sank down again, weeping. Oh my God, Andrea, I did not expect this book to take such a turn, but it is what it is. Yeah, but seems like it's a nice book. Seems like it's written nicely. I like it. I like it already. Then that's the first paragraph long. So why the first paragraph long, Sabrina? Anyway, anyway, Andrea, we are going to continue. We have 5 more minutes of the live. Hold on. Okay. What's your name, miss? Do I have to tell you? I want to help you. I have to know your name to do it. Dinah Carey. I live in the dorm. My roommate's expecting me. Her name is Janet. Janet Wells. It's only 2 blocks. Can I go home now, please? Not yet, ma'am. You need to go to the hospital first. Miss Carey, just stay put. We'll get help for you. He hoped the ambulance crew had a woman with them. They didn't. 2 men arrived with a gurney. The older man spoke with the girl and coaxed her out of her hiding place. Frank stood close by, watching the paramedics support the shivering girl as she lay down upon the gurney. They wrapped her in warm blankets, snapped the belts around her, and wheeled her along the park pathway to Henderson Avenue. She said nothing and kept her eyes tightly closed. Frank's mouth tightened when he saw the ambulance lights flashing. The woman who had called in the report was outside on her porch again. So were others all up and down the street. Windows were illuminated in half a dozen houses, faces peering through the curtains. Some, bolder in their curiosity, came out onto their lawns to watch what was going on. He had hoped to save the girl. Future embarrassment. She was loaded quickly into the ambulance. One of the men went inside with her and closed the door behind him. The other took the driver's seat. They pulled away from the curb and were on their way to the hospital before Frank had reached his squad car. Greg was waiting for him. He patrolled the other side of the park but didn't see anyone. No cars parked along this street or on the other side. Did she give you a description? She said she never saw his face. I talked to her more as soon as the doctors examined her. Dinah couldn't stop shaking. She asked the nurse if she could shower, but was told she would have to wait until after the doctor had seen her. The nurse helped her undress and don a white hospital gown. Shivering, Dinah watched the nurse put her torn, stained waitress uniform, undergarments, and shredded nylons into a large plastic bag. Her muddy snow boots were placed in another. Both bags were given to someone waiting outside the door. Dinah's teeth shattered. But her chill had nothing to do with the temperature of the room, which was kept at a comfortable 68 degrees. The shaking, the terrible cold, came from inside her. Even the blanket the nurse had put around her did nothing to ward off the chill. I'll get you another blanket, Miss Carey, the nurse had said. Dinah almost protested, afraid to be alone. Clutching the blanket, she sat on the edge of the examining table, wondering what she was going to wear home. The silence increased her anxiety. She wanted desperately to wash. She yearned to stand beneath a scalding spray so she could soap and scrub every inch of her body and wash away what had happened. Would she ever be cleansed of it? Would she wash the horror from her mind and heart? She squeezed her eyes shut, willing the images in her mind to go away. She was safe now, or was she? Her eyes flew open. She had thought she was safe before, but that had been an illusion, and that had been ripped away. Sitting on the examining table in the short, backless gown, she felt naked and as vulnerable as she had been in the park. Sick with fear, she looked from one end of the cubicle to the other for some avenue of escape. She wanted to go home. Home to her parents. Home to the house on Ocean Avenue. But what would her parents say? Perhaps, locked in her dorm room, she would feel safer. Someone rapped at the door and she jumped. A doctor entered. The nurse who had taken her clothes was just behind him. "I'm Dr. Kennon, Miss Carey. How are you feeling?" "Fine," she said, without thinking. Wasn't that what she always said in the doctor's office? She grimaced, her eyes tearing up, and she winced. When she spoke again, she hardly recognized her own voice. "Could I take a shower, please? I want to take a shower." "In a little while," the doctor said. He reached into his pocket and took out a small tape recorder. Depressing the button, he set it on the counter to his right. "Now, let's take a look at that eye first." As he gently tested the bruised flesh and flashed a small light into her pupil, he told her he was recording the examination in order to help the police apprehend her attacker. He asked her if she was experiencing any dizziness. "Some," she said. She was nauseated. "Lie down, please." The nurse assisted her, speaking softly, encouraging her to follow the doctor's instructions. Dinah trembled even more violently as he examined her scrapes and asked more questions. As she answered, she relived the nightmare in the park, seeing it from every angle. Some of the questions the doctor asked made her blush with embarrassment and pale in shame. Was she on birth control? When was her last period? He wanted details about what had happened to her, details she was loath to remember, let alone speak about. "I don't want to talk about it." "Everything you are telling us will help the police, ma'am." And who would help her? "God, where are you? Where are you?" Dinah called. When the doctor told her to scoot her bottom to the end of the table and put her feet in the stirrups, she didn't understand. The nurse, sensitive to her anguish, tried to explain as delicately as possible. "The doctor needs to make sure you are not injured internally, Miss Carey, and he'll be able to collect a specimen for evidence." "Evidence?" she said. The doctor explains. Revulsion filled her. "Oh God, oh God, why did you have to let me go through this? Haven't I gone through enough already?" Dana cried. "I'm going to be sick." She sat up quickly. The nurse held a small basin for her and stroked her back, murmuring words of sympathy. The doctor went out to give her a few minutes to recompose herself. After a while, the nurse calmed her down enough to continue, and the doctor came back. The nurse's eyes were filled with compassion. "It will be over soon, my dear. Hold my hand. Squeeze if you need to." Dinah clutched it tightly, her body tense. "Breathe, Miss Carey. That's it. Try to relax." The doctor explained everything he was doing to her and why, but it didn't help. The physical examination was extensive, intrusive, and painful. When he had finished, he apologized and then told the nurse to cut her fingernails. More evidence. The clippings were put in another small plastic bag and labeled for the police lab. The nurse took pictures of the abrasions on her shoulder and right hip, the bruises on her thighs, her throat, and her battered face. Spirit crushed, Dana fell silent. Dr. Kennon looked at her sadly and said again that he was sorry. You can sit up now, the nurse said gently. I'll have admissions get all the paperwork going, Dr. Keenan said, turning towards the door. Andrea, that's where your story ends tonight. Yeah? You asked for it and I brought it for you. Okay? So when we come back, Andrea. When we come back tomorrow morning, Andrea, yeah, we're gonna read the story some more. Tomorrow morning, right after the Bible study, we'll read a few more pages of that book. So there we know what happened. What happened to Dana or Dinah, however she pronounced the name. Now we know what happened to her in the story, and that kind of made the book start out quite interesting, don't you think? Yeah. So I'm wondering if the topic of the book, The Atonement Child, is I'm just wondering out loud if Dana got pregnant from that graping incident and decided to carry the baby, and that's the baby that they are talking about, referring to as the atonement child. Possibly because they are stark Christians who I'm going to assume don't believe in abortion. So, Andrea, you wished for it and you got it, my love. I will read some more for you. You're so welcome, Sister Arelis. I will read some more for you all tomorrow. All right? And that's the end of the live for tonight, my friends. When we come back tomorrow, we will continue. Yes, Andrea, when we come back tomorrow, we're going to continue the reading of this book, The Atonement Child, once we are finished reading the Bible. Okay, guys? That's where we're going to end for tonight. Thanks everybody who came into the live. Joe, AG, Card, Andrea, Yard Foods, the amazing M&G, and everybody else who came into the live. I sincerely appreciate you. Sister Arelis, my love, Albert, and AG, and everybody else who came into the live. I sincerely appreciate you guys. I sincerely appreciate you. And thank you guys for the 12 likes. Yes, Andrea. I'm going to hold a fresh and hold a rest right now. And then we will meet again in the next few hours. All right, guys. That's where we're going to end for tonight. So have yourselves a great night. Until I see you all again, guys, this is Share from Traversance, where your journey matters. Have yourselves a great night, everybody. You are welcome, Sister Arlis. You are welcome, guys. Y'all know y'all are the reason why I'm here. You all are my therapy. You all are everything. And I sincerely appreciate you. You could never ask me to start reading a book and I don't find one to start, Sister Andrea. All you gotta do, sis, is say the word. You say the word and Antreb deliver. All right? So that's it for tonight, guys. I will see you all in the next few hours. So have yourselves a great night, everybody. Then Joseph,